Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. If you did not see our stream last night about the El Paso shooter, you need to check that out. But we will fill you in today on that, even though today is our European and UK news. We do it every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So I can tell you the stories that I'm bringing you guys today. We're going to the UK. Now, this should cheer your hearts today over there, you Brexiteers in Britain. For Boris's top advisor, Dominic Cummings, says to MPs it's too late to block no-deal Brexit in October. And you know what he says? Go ahead and vote no confidence. We'll stick it to you, and we'll put the new election after October 31st, and you can't stop us.
Wow.
Isn't that pretty crazy? So I guess they're on recess right now. And so then that I guess, until September.
Right.
So they only have 1 month. So Prime Minister Boris Johnson's top advisor, Dominic Cummings, has reportedly told ministers and officials that Remain MPs are now too late to stop a no-deal Brexit on October 31st, lacking the time to depose before the deadline, even if they can pass a vote of no confidence in his government. While there is likely a majority against a clean break with the European Union and a reversion to the standard WTO terms in the House of Commons, a majority of the MPs, even in Johnson's own cabinet, voted Remain in 2016. Parliament is currently in recess, with MPs not due to retake their seats until September. They could attempt to immediately topple Prime Minister Boris Johnson with a vote of no confidence, which may well be able to pass, given the Tories don't really enjoy an outright majority, and some people might turn coat against him. But then they would have 14 days to try and win a second vote, and then a reasonable amount to maneuver to set a date for a fresh general election if that failed, quite possibly after October 31st. Ordinarily, Parliament has to be dissolved 25 working days before a general election, and so would be unable to ram through any anti-Brexit legislation in that time, meaning that, at least in Cummings' view, Remain MPs have simply run out of time to stop a no deal by default on October 31st in accordance with the terms the European Union Withdrawal Act has already put forth and passed into law. So
they already passed Article 51. It's already set in stone that they should have left at the end of March.
Yeah. There's no time. Okay, now, don't worry. I do believe there are things in the UK that they could just pull rabbits out of the hat I've never seen, like with Theresa May. She just kept pulling them rabbits out that hat. And I'm like, girlfriend, how are you doing this?
She's a magician.
But Theresa May is not in that hot seat. And Cummings says that the EU thinks that Boris is bluffing on leaving without a deal. And Boris has said, until you remove the backstop, we're not even coming to the table.
So Nigel is skeptical that this is going to happen. Hence the thumbnail that I chose and the title. He says if Tories don't deliver by October 31st, they will be annihilated. And we're going to get to this, but they've put 50 new candidates in for Parliament. And so what Nigel is essentially saying is if we don't leave by October 31st, and he is very skeptical that that's actually going to happen. And I don't know that he really is, or if he's just saying that to be threatening. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that if it doesn't go through on October 31st, and you know what? Even if it does, the Brexit Party is going to kill it in any next election. I have to tell you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. So you've got this guy here, Dominic Cummings, who seems pretty gung-ho, pretty positive. So we'll see how that turns out. Let's see. Over in Italy, Salvini is being very hardline. Again, in every week it's another NGO ship.
Oh my gosh!
Showing up on his shores, and he's like, "No, I'm not taking him. I'm not taking." And how come these NGOs who are so they were dying, they were drowning, but if I'm drowning, take me back home. Take me back home.
But the reality of the matter is that they have been promised a pack of goods.
Well, the NGOs are making money.
It's worth it for if you thought that you were going to be handed utopia, if you were going to come and life was going to be amazing and you were going to easily be able to get your family over and so on and so forth, you wouldn't want to go back home.
Yeah. So this German-based NGO CI has announced they will not be challenging the closed port policy of Lega leader Matteo Salvini, opting instead to head for Malta to drop off the immigrants. The CI vessel Alan Kurdi announced on Friday that they will be changing course from Italian island of Lampedusa and heading instead to the Maltese port capital of Valletta. The spokesperson for the NGO said that they would not offer Matteo Salvini another opportunity for such an unworthy show.
Am I the only person that wishes he could just stay in power for like ever?
Yeah. The Spanish migrant transport NGO Proactiva Open Arms also announced Friday that they had picked up 123 migrants and were headed to Europe rather than closer ports in North Africa for a safe haven, but did not give any specifics on which country they were headed, and then they were headed to Italy. Now that's what I'm trying to say here. They're not trying to rescue the people from the sea. They're trying to get them into Europe. Okay? It's like, I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall.
Yeah.
We're saving lives. We're saving lives. No, you're trying to ferry people into Europe by nefarious, illegal means.
Right.
And, seeing that these left-wing people who are keen on math as well, who want the stuff for them and themselves and their country. And there is a faction, all we see in the media portrayed are left-wing people who are open borders.
Right.
But you don't see the left-wing people like the Christchurch shooter who attacked a mosque because in his manifesto were socialist policies. You're taking over my stuff. Okay? And that is what's happening. We have this 21st century crash, right? And it is the immigration policies of the left that are kind of tipping these people over the edge. And I don't know how they're going to draw them back in, because there's more and more of them, because they're coming to realize that they're losing some of the stuff. Here's the thing. It's like the poor trans children we talked about.
Yeah.
I'm trans. And then their sibling becomes trans, and then they're jealous because, well, I was special.
Yeah.
Right? And so you've got Andrew Yang out there talking about universal basic income and how automation's going to take everything over, and how we've got to bring back American jobs. And this guy's like, well, the El Paso shooter's like, well, yeah, this is happening. And how are we going to do this? And then you have basic math saying that there's too many people you can't give everybody $1,000 a month.
Right.
Right? You still can't, even if you try to deport immigrants, you still can't do it. But that's the craziness of the mindset of the me, I wants. If these two shooters didn't want free stuff, they wouldn't see these people as a threat.
Yeah.
And so Merkel is to blame, and all these people are also to blame for the crazy alt left. Right? So Denmark and the Netherlands had a 10 or 12 year fight for its burqa ban. So in Denmark has a burqa ban as well, and has issued 39 fines a year after Denmark passed a law outlining the wearing of the full-face Islamic veil. Now, as a libertarian, I have a hard time with banning anything, including like face masks. I feel like when you have reached a point in society when you are banning the balaclavas and you're banning face masks, there's a lot going on there. Okay.
It's far deeper than just banning them because they don't like it. It literally allows anybody to hide behind a veil and and commit a crime. But like that picture just showed, I think that it says banning it is a women's liberation. Okay, right. Because a lot of these women wear this because they have to, because their husbands and the men in their society tell them that they have to. And so by banning it, I think that it offers some freedom to women who otherwise would love to choose not to have to wear them.
So I guess the fine is about $156. The first fine came under only days after it was implemented, with a woman in Herschel being fined about $156 after police were called to a shopping center and confronted the woman, forcing her to leave or remove her veil. Earlier this week, the Netherlands became the latest European country to ban the wearing of the Islamic veil in public places, joining Denmark, France, Austria, and several other states. The Dutch brought their burqa ban into force.
I didn't know France had banned it.
Yeah. In this week, with violations of the law facing about $167 in fines, discussions on banning the Islamic full-face garment began 14 years ago. When Geert Wilders first suggested it in 2005, the Dutch ban is not an all-encompassing ban on the garment, however, with the ban being limited to educational facilities, public institutions and buildings, as well as hospitals and public transportation. In Austria, which banned the burqa in 2017 under Conservative Populist Coalition, it took only 6 months for the government to record 50 fines for violation of the ban. And I'm going to put this in the category of the wall. I am claustrophobic. And I don't want a wall. Right. I don't want to have to ban any article of clothing. I think that you should be able to do your hair, everything the way you want.
Right.
But there are certain things in society where we can't function anymore. Like, it stops up. Like, for instance, you have to allow the free flow of water in your home, even though you feel like you want... Like, if you have a waterway, we have a waterway in our backyard. We can't just, like, dam it up. Right. It has to continually, it has to flow downstream.
Right.
There are waterway rules. We have rules in our own home on what kind of fence you can put up. Okay?
Right.
And
I don't know that I agree with that, though.
Well, I'm just saying that we have these rules.
Right.
Right?
So 95% air says, I bet it's more about not being able to use facial recognition. You could have a point there. I think that there's a lot at play, but that definitely could be one of them.
So to operate in modern society, it's tricky for me. It's tricky for me.
But they're not banning the hijab. You're allowed to cover your head. It's the facial mask, the I'm going to rob a bank type thing. And again, I'm not sure how much of it is for security purposes as much as it is, like this says, the veil is women's liberation. That's the opposite is true. Women are not liberated by wearing a veil. They are hindered.
And I think, like, here's the thing. Logical people can say that this is oppressive and it's wrong.
Yeah.
That it is a male-dominated, and here's where it is. It's men saying... You have to do this. Okay? Women aren't doing this. This is a man's desire to cover women up. And so in that respect, you're stopping people from hurting themselves.
Exactly.
Or from being hurt.
So Wicked Psyched wants to know, how do they handle that at the Department of Motor Vehicles? You can't even have glasses on top of your head when they take your photo. These women don't drive as far as I know. I mean, they're not, in like Iran, they're not allowed to drive.
Right.
So I don't know if their husbands just literally don't let them drive.
Okay.
So then it's a non-issue.
Okay, so we have some freedom here. And let me see if I can find it. It's actually pretty cool. Where, let me see. Saudi Arabia allowing women to travel without a male guardian's approval.
Wow. One of the sons that's a leader, like the prince or one of the princes, there's a lot of princes in Saudi Arabia, is actually very Western and trying to implement Western ideals in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and this is a huge one, okay? I actually, could make this the title. It could be its own show. Women in Saudi Arabia can now travel abroad without a male guardian's permission, a royal decree. And I wonder how many women are just going to go.
I know.
Right? The new rule announced on Friday allows women over the age of 21 to apply for a passport without authorization, putting them on an equal footing with men. Women are also being given the right to register births, marriage, or divorce. The kingdom has recently eased other long-standing social restrictions on women, though campaigners say more remains to be done for women's rights. Saudi Arabia has increasingly come under the spotlight over its treatment of its female citizens, an issue highlighted by several high-profile cases of Saudi women seeking...
They may lose a lot
asylum
of their women
abroad.
Female population.
So Save Rahif, I was on Twitter tweeting out her live asking for help and for asylum. She did get heard. She was heard, and she was able to go to Canada. She fled her home in Saudi Arabia after she renounced Islam, a crime punishable by death.
I don't have rights in Saudi Arabia, and my family treat me so bad. They will kill me.
Her passport was seized, so she shut herself into the Thailand hotel room and began tweeting her ordeal, capturing the world's attention.
Wow.
I'm not leaving my room until I see UNHCR. I want asylum.
Supporters of Save Rahib called for help, and eventually the UN Refugee Agency gave her refugee status.
Wow.
And then, of course, social media users from Saudi Arabia criticized her actions. Actually, I think she made it to Canada, by the way. This must be kind of old.
Well, but it's still a video to watch to get a feel for who she is and her plight.
Right. And so they lifted a driving ban last year. And oddly enough, y'all, a lot of this is coming from Trump's administration.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I feel about this because, listen, we don't lean right, we don't lean left, we don't just say, hey, Trump's awesome. And by golly, I believe Saudi Arabia bombed our World Trade Center, so we should have been at war with Saudi Arabia, not Iraq or Afghanistan. But to see, but do I want more people dead? Right? And would I rather see freedom in Saudi Arabia?
Right.
And I think that Trump is taking the high road again, the road that I would not be able to take. Okay. So what is changing? Saudi's male guardianship system gives husbands, fathers, and other male relatives the authority to make critical decisions about women. Until now, this has meant that women there were required to seek those relatives' permission to obtain or renew a passport and exit the country. Men raise their eyebrows when somebody driving. Saudi Arabia. But the royal decrees published in the kingdom's official weekly of the Gazette on Friday stipulate that Saudi passports should be issued to any citizen who applies for it, and that anyone over the age of 21 does not need permission to travel. The changes allow women for the first time to register their children's births as well as marriages and divorces. They also cover employment regulations that expand work opportunities for women. Under the rule, all citizens have the right to work without facing any discrimination based on gender, disability, or age. And women are saying, I can't sleep. The changes that occur today is setting the age of adulthood for women and men at 21 is so much more than lifting the travel permission. It signals full equality in the eye of the law. It signals what modern Sharia is capable of.
That's interesting. That's coming from a Muslim.
Yeah.
Like somebody that believes in Sharia law.
The first woman to become an envoy for the kingdom, Saudi ambassador to the U.S., Rima bint Bandar, says, I am elated to confirm that KSA will be enacting amendments to its labor and civil laws that are designed to elevate the status of Saudi women within our society, including granting them the right to apply for passports and travel independently. These new regulations are history in the making. They call for the equal engagement of women and men in our society. It is a holistic approach to gender equality that will unquestionably create new, real change for Saudi women. If fully implemented, this is a big step in letting adult Saudi women take control of their own lives. Before we start rejoicing these reforms, we need to remember that the Saudi government has set the bar so low for human rights that any minor reform will always seem monumental.
Wow.
And that's true. That's kind of true. Like, oh my gosh, women could travel without a male guardian. Oh my gosh, yay! And everybody else in the world be like, really?
No, but the rest of the world actually tells them that they should embrace their oppression because it's part of their religion and they should be happy with it, and they should be, you know, that it's your religion. You should love it. You should love being oppressed. We want women's rights all over the world, except for when it comes to Islam, in which case women's rights is a joke and you should be happy. It's your religion. you know, and that's the disparity between the Women's March and then them donning a hijab.
So you also see this. I read this week. Saudi Arabia Crown Prince's $500 billion city aims for futuristic Jetsons-like amenities. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia is planning this a city of like major technology. Like I don't understand.
He's super. You know what this reminds me of? So many of the Asian. What are Asian? Not princes, but what are they called when you're like in China and stuff? Like Chairman Mao, or you know what they're called, something. Whatever in Asia they're called. They're not called presidents. They're called like kings. Like whatever. But throughout history, you see in Asia a lot the desire
Emperor?
Thank you. You see these emperors desiring, I bet it's already in the chat, desiring to be westernized. And I think that you're seeing something just like that here in Saudi Arabia. I had a little bit of a brain fuzz. It wasn't coming in clear.
No, obviously, emperor. Okay.
But the idea was clear.
All right, so the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's dream would include offerings of glow-in-the-dark sand, which they have yet to figure out how they're going to do.
Okay.
They haven't figured out.
Wait. Glow-in-the-dark sand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He wants an artificial moon and live streaming capabilities. It's in the northwest.
So it's like going to be like a bubble
corner. Is promoted as Neom. The blank page you need to write humanity's next chapter. On the list of things you can use: drone taxis, robot maids, genetic modification, artificial rain, Jurassic Park style robot island, sand that glows in the dark, robot cage fighting, security that utilizes facial recognition technology, a fake moon, and alcohol, which is actually banned in the rest of the country.
Get out, because it is. You can't drink if you're a Muslim.
So here would be some of the things at the exhibition.
So, okay,
for Nome.
Is this a money-making scheme, or is this just like he wants a fantasy island for himself?
I don't know. They're beginning from scratch in the middle of like a desert.
So it's not going to be in a dome.
No.
It's going to be out in the open.
I guess there's ocean.
This is really hilarious. Maia says robot cage fighting sounds boring. I don't know. Didn't you see that? What was it? Max Steel, that movie with Hugh Jackman or whatever, where they did that robot cage. I always think to myself,
driverless cars or no cars at all. He says we're just going to start from scratch and just build something up.
Oh my gosh.
So it's so weird.
So is it going to be like an amusement park?
I don't know, buddy. I don't know. We have a P.O. Box.
107, Milford, Ohio, 45150. Send us your letters. We'll read them on air. I mean that. Send us your letters. I want to hear from you guys. Everybody here wants to hear from you. So, Maia says, thanks, Leah. I needed that today. All right, you guys. We love you. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. And we will see you guys back here for sure on Friday at 6 p.m.
But before then, God willing.
Yeah, because we've got a lot to talk about, and we'll hopefully get an update on this Dayton shooter, and who knows if we'll bring that to you, and more about the El Paso. Go to resistancechicks.com and share that article.
Yep.
Good afternoon, good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you are around the world, because we have people from all over the world. Thank you for being here for our worldwide news.
Love the Lord God with all your heart and soul and mind. Love your neighbor as yourself.
All right, you guys. We love you.
Was cold, all alone. No place for home every day. So afraid, but you call my name.